Welcome again, guys. Thanks for being with us.
Thank
John
you.
Tokatlidis,
Yes.
Errico.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. We're here today to talk about, cannabis in the family. And,
Yes.
and John, just as a way of introducing you, I know you're Toronto-born actor, businessman, and now with your family. It's really great that you're here to talk to us about cannabis.
Well, hopefully I can offer a perspective. I've got three little ones, three under 7 and under 7, 5, and almost 2. And, on a daily basis, my wife and I discuss issues, how do we move forward? How do we be the best parents that we can be for our children and provide the best life? And it's a challenge, and no one's perfect. I mean, some of the time we say we don't know what we're doing, and we just hope for the best. And with the changing world, so many things that are changing. Life is so different from when I was a child. The freedoms that kids have, and now with cannabis being legal, and kids are seeing it everywhere in a way. I still when I see someone pull something out or put it on the table, there's that taboo.
Still there.
It's still there. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
And you might see someone at a bus shelter smoking a joint, and you think, okay, well, what is it? How do I explain this to my?
That? What's that smell, Daddy? How do we start? Right?
Yeah, where do we start? So, I revert to, experiences with alcohol and with cigarettes, growing up. Because I kind of feel that, and growing up in the restaurant business and seeing alcohol on a regular basis, and my dad being a smoker, I didn't do those things.
You had that information.
Yes.
that told you, that there are downsides to those things, with
Yes.
alcohol, being around the restaurant.
Yes, there's dangers.
Exactly. And so that bit of information helped inform you as a young person, right?
Yes. But I also believed growing up that if you restrict these things from your kids, and you tell them, you're not going to be drinking alcohol, you're not going to be smoking cigarettes, I forbid it. Well, those are the kids that really want it badly, and those are the ones that are breaking, into the liquor cabinet and getting smashed on weekends with all the other kids, and not necessarily being at an age where they can be responsible with it yet.
Yeah.
So the approach to the kid, in my mind, is not necessarily forbidding it, not necessarily pushing it. It's somewhere in the middle.
Educating them, right?
Yeah.
Educating them.
That's how it was for my family growing up. I mean, cannabis was something that was always around. I had uncles and other family members that were using it, and it was out there just like alcohol was. Wasn't so much hidden, but I found that introduction didn't really make me want to go and use it. It was always just like alcohol. It's something for grown-ups, and I had that early realization that I don't need that, and it's I was always told it's something that's not going to help you as a young person in school, in learning, right. and I think that was something I always look back to, and I think I was really lucky to get that introduction, and the same thing, you're around other young people that didn't have that same sort of experience, and they had to experiment and teach themselves, and sometimes that's that's the downside to restricting it, is those kids got into trouble because they were so interested in it, they didn't know enough information, and they maybe overindulged.
Just like that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and having that conversation. I mean, I remember having one very quick conversation with my father when it came to drugs, when it came to marijuana. And in our family, drugs was drugs. It didn't matter what kind of drugs.
Heroin, weed, it was all the same.
It all fell into the same category. And I remember being in high school thinking, these kids are smoking drugs, because I didn't experiment or anything. Mm-hmm. My father told me a story where one time he tried it, and he just remembered passing out, and he didn't enjoy it, never touched it, and so that stuck with me. And I said, okay, I'm not gonna do it. And then of course being in the restaurant, seeing the alcohol as well, and seeing the customers really getting intoxicated, stumbling, vomiting. I wasn't into that. I wasn't interested. I couldn't understand why people did it.
People do that, right?
But as you get older, you're able to make more informed decisions, and you start to see the value and the changes that that take place. And I hope for my kids that they'll be at an age where they can make an informed decision for what they want to do for themselves.
So that's the idea, is really making sure that you support, that next generation with the right information, and not trying to shelter them from the world that's out there. You have to be able to prepare them, for what's out there.
Teach them that, you can use what's out there, just like there is moderation. And everything there is moderation. Like we said, alcohol, like you can have fun and, have a couple beer with your friends, or you can exaggerate and get smashed, and here you are puking off the sidewalk, right? And the day after feeling so sick that you can go to work, right? So like in everything, there is moderation. Obviously, even cannabis, you have to pace yourself, right? There are so many health benefits with cannabis. And I think that if we focus on that and we teach our kids to say, listen, like that's something that it's, can be helpful with you, with your health, but attention, because if you abuse it, like you can get sick, right? So
I might have been fortunate that my real introduction to it was to help me with pain. I had an abscess in my front tooth, and the pain was unbearable. And I had been prescribed anti-inflammatories and some very codeine, very strong Tylenol, and it did nothing. And a friend of mine I said, I need something, if you can provide something, and a little bit of weed.
Did your friend know that it might help you with the pain?
Oh yes, absolutely. And it was a unique experience.
How old were you?
I was in my 20s. I was in my mid-20s, and it made me forget about the pain. Really, is what it did.
That's what I find. It's not one of those the things that kills the pain like an opiate, a strong opiate. Like you're not feeling anything anymore. But with cannabis, I always find, because I use it for that same reason. It kind of helps you separate from the pain, kind of disassociate, right? Yeah, distract yourself, and it can be helpful. Same with the flu. If I've got the flu, or really feeling down with a cold or something, I don't mind using a bit of weed, and then I feel like I can function.
What about when they use a cream for arthritis and stuff like that? How does it actually act on your body?
So if you can get the cannabis right into the skin, it will penetrate. So a lot of the creams have like mint or something that actually helps get it into the skin, and it'll go right to the site of the inflammation. So cannabis is anti-inflammatory. It actually turns the receptors in your body that are cannabinoid receptors. It helps to turn them off a little bit and fill them up, so they're not being inflamed by your pain. So it can really help you feel less pain in your joints. I know a lot of people that even have like rheumatoid arthritis, and that's a autoimmune disease where your joints are getting eaten by your white blood cells, and that can be totally reversed by using cannabis topically and internally. So there's a whole host of things that it can help with.
Well, I have a question. When using it topically, will it be isolated to the area that you're feeling the pain, or will you have a full body effect? Can it have a psychoactive effect?
It cannot get into your bloodstream. So it can get into the local tissue if you put it there, but it's not really getting into your bloodstream in a big way to the point where you're going to feel an effect. I know people use it topically. They use it even as a suppository anally, and they'll use a suppository and not get the psychoactive effect because it's kind of bypassing the liver. It's not going into your normal pathway of what a drug use would, and so you're getting a lot of the anti-inflammatory effect locally that way, and not getting the psychoactive effect. So.
I just want to say I'd rather use the cream than the suppository.
I've never tried it, but I know a lot of people, especially if you have to go to high doses, if you have a particular chronic problem, that way can actually help you, avoid a lot of the psychoactive effect. And of course, there's different strains that have different potency, right? Like some strains don't make as much THC, the psychoactive component. So a little bit of understanding of of getting the right strain or the right preparation always, can help you use it the right way. And I think that's what we were getting back to before.
Well, just speaking about potency, it made me think about the kids and introducing the subject to kids. And one of the things that I think is important is that the form that a lot of edibles are coming in are appealing to children, and that I think makes it even more important to be able to have the discussion, because gummy bears or chocolate or something that if you're keeping it in the house, and with some of these edibles, we talked about this earlier, the equal distribution of the marijuana throughout the product, it can have an impact, especially on the small body, and it's important to be able to have those open discussions.
You touch on something really intriguing there, which is parental responsibility. So as us as parents, we have this responsibility to prevent our kids from accidentally getting to a chocolate or I found your stash, that looks tasty, let me take it.
It's like the same thing when you lock in your laundry room. You lock the laundry room because there's bleach and detergent and stuff like that, right? Like you keep them keep them away from the kid.
And I mean, with the edibles, one thing that parents have to educate themselves about is how the different routes of administration for cannabis affect you, because cannabis eaten is a totally different effect than cannabis inhaled, because it goes to your liver and then it becomes a different substance and it's actually more psychoactive. So people do report stronger effects and more hallucinogenic effects when they take an edible. So for your parents out there, know that eating is going to send you for a pretty intense trip.
And it goes through different parts of your body as well. It's more of a full experience, I guess you could say.
It is, yeah. It's more psychoactive, it's more body effect, and it can last a long time. Where with inhalation, take a vaporizer, smoke a cannabis cigarette, it's about 2 to 4 hours of effects for the peak. If you eat it, it's about 6 to 8 hours, and if you eat too much, it can last a matter of days.
Wow!
So I've heard of people that were stoned for 3 days, and they couldn't wake up for 3 days because they took a overdose on cannabis. Basically,
maybe we need that with 3 kids. Like we don't sleep, man. Like,
it's true. It's true. Sleep. You forget what sleep was like. Actually, sleeping till noon or sleeping till 10 or what like I did back in my university days.
My kid's almost 3, and we're just starting to get over that whole. Sleepless nights. We're coming out of the end of it, and we'll go back into it. So
it's that could be tough. But I think that there is on the table a discussion about the types of edibles that will be available.
Exactly.
Just because yes, you can lock the Javex in the laundry room. You can lock up the liquor cabinet, but those don't have the same appeal. Like when kids see chocolate, when kids see jelly beans, kids see these are products that are specific to children. Yeah. So those are important, I think, things to discuss. Yeah.
Well, you have fruity drinks or with alcohol, it's the same thing where you kind of have to say, hey, I'm going to show this to you. This is a nice looking chocolate.
Have that.
Don't eat it because this is not for kids.
Yeah.
Well, I know, but what about if there is a cake that the sponge is wet with some alcohol? You got
to write everything you make now has to have the leaf.
I'm not strict with my daughter. I don't know,
entice your kids.
Alcohol cake, I guess.
It's sugar and water and a touch of alcohol.
Yes.
It's not like
it will help them. It will help them have a good sleep. Maybe sleep till the morning.
That's right. Well, really excellent discussion, guys, and thanks for going into some of the issues there. And we should come back again and talk about what our wives think, because they'll always have a different take. We have the fathers around the table, but
they have an opinion.
They do.
And, I guess we are more easygoing. Maybe who knows? Maybe they're more strict, more like.
I'm sure
a little cautious,
it depends. Yeah, when it comes to children, I would say there's a bit more of that, protector.
It's not that we're careless, It's just like we are more open to analyze the situation and say, okay, let's talk about it. Let's see what's going on.
That's right.
I'm very careful what I say when it comes to describing my wife.
Smart man. As long as she's happy, you're happy.
Exactly.
So, good
happy
guys.
Wife,
thank you very
life.
much for
thank you
for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Cheers.
Thank you.